Good morning to everybody. How you doing? Hope all's well. Keep up the beautiful work. Bezrat Hashem, Yitbarach v'Torah. Today is Monday, Parashat Toledot, and we are continuing learning halacha every morning. Bravo to all of you. Good things always. Bezrat Hashem, Yitbarach v'Torah. May Am Yisrael see only good things. May the Mashiach come. That's the only way there's going to be peace in the world. Mashiach's going to come in merit of you learning Torah, in merit of all the beautiful things that you do. And Bezrat Hashem will all be in Yerushalayim Habnuya Bekarov. There won't be any more sickness. There won't be any more war. There'll be everything good. We'll see our ancestors. We'll see our loved ones. And we'll be dancing in the Beit HaMikdash HaShilishi. It's already built, as Batya says from a Rashi. It's already in heaven. Just got to come down. So it's one button and poof, it's going to come. Bezrat Hashem Yitbarach. This past week, not this coming week, this past week, every single kindergarten school made a mock wedding because the wedding that was in the Torah was the first documented marriage between Yitzhak and Rivka Imenu. So they make the mock weddings. They throw mlebas, but it's a nut-free school, so they end up throwing popcorn or something like that. BTW throwing rice at a wedding there is a real source to that. It used to be barley because barley has a chaff around it, and the chaff protects the kernel, and it's a sign of protecting the couple from ayin hara, believe it or not. But a couple halachot regarding these weddings now. Baruch Hashem, people, weddings in Florida, God bless, weddings all over, shirvu semahot, all those girls that need to find a shidduch should find their shidduch, all the boys that need, Be'ezrat Hashem, Bekarov. So a couple halachot come up. Number one, we know there's something called Sheva Berachot, not to be confused with Sheva Berachiot. There is no real word Berachiot. There's no real word Gemariot. On Tu B'Shvat, when we bring out the dried fruit, it's not called Berachiot. But in our community, they invented a couple new words, and they call these things Berachiot. But it's called Sheva Berachot. We have 7 days of hafleh for the Chatan and Kala right after the wedding. The wedding counts as the first one, and then you have 6 days after that for the Sheva Berachot. Now, there's a couple of things that our community might not be aware of the actual halakha because of things that happened over the years. Number one, when does the actual concept of the 7 days begin? Does it begin from the chuppah? Does it begin from the seudah? For example, if you have a wedding and you made the chuppah before sunset, but then by the time and they have 2 speeches now, there's 2 hazanim, Baruch Hashem, it's a Broadway show, Baruch Hashem, and it should be shirvu semahot. However, let's say the chuppah now is over after sunset. What do we go by? Do we go when they put the talit over the couple? By the way, sometimes you go to a wedding and for party planning purposes, you might not see an official chuppah over the couple, and people start to yell, what about a chuppah? So yes, there is, of course, we have to have a chuppah, but the actual talit that they put over the couple is the actual chuppah as well. So you're good either way. Believe it or not, Batya says that we do not go by the counting from the actual chuppah when they put the talit over the couple, but believe it or not, it goes from when they're secluded together in a room alone. That's why after the chuppah, they dance Baruch Hashem, and all the couple goes down. It's a beautiful thing to clap and dance for a chatan and kala. It's compared to the giving of the Torah on Har Sinai. Sometimes you have people in Wisconsin going to a wedding. They just eat the lamb chops and they call it a chow and slough show. However, you have to go and be mesameach chatan and kala. We mentioned a while back that there was a wicked, wicked queen. Her name was Queen Isabel. She was the wife of Achav. He was Jewish. Unfortunately, she was not. And they were both wicked people, unfortunately. And Eliyahu Navi cursed, if you're eating breakfast, put the bagel down and then wait a few minutes. Eliyahu Navi cursed her that when she passes away, the dogs are going to eat the flesh off of her body. And when Eliyahu Navi says something, it definitely happens. He's going to come tell us that the Mashiach is here. He's going to blow the shofar, and it's so going to be here, Be'ezrat Hashem. But of course, his prophecy manifested, and when she passed away, the dogs ate the flesh off of her body. However, from her wrist to the tips of her fingers and from her ankle to the tips of her toes, the dogs did not touch those pieces of flesh on her body. How come? Because when she used to be in her palace and the Hatan and Kala, they were dancing in the streets. They had music. They had people dancing and singing for the Hatan and Kala. She used to come out and she used to give a couple of steps and she clapped her hands and she bobbled her head. And because she used those three parts of her body, her feet, her hands, and her head for Hatan and Kala, and the dogs were not allowed to touch her head, her hands, or her feet because of that. Imagine. So all you got to do is go to one wedding and clap your hands, and we should go to a million weddings. Sometimes far away in Neverland, they get an invitation in the mail. They said, oof, why did they have to invite me? Now I have to go. Thank you, Hashem, that's your summons, that you have to go to a wedding. Shir Mahot. We don't want to have to go to any other place. So we go and we dance. And while we're on the subject, we spoke about this Simchat Torah time. When you clap your hands, you clap your right hand over your left hand, because Kabbalistically, the right hand is chesed, God's kindness, and the left hand represents the strictness, the midat hadin. So we want to overpower the kindness over the midat hadin, the strictness. So we go and we clap and we celebrate Baruch Hashem. Now, when they go into the room and close the door, BTW, another disclaimer, Rabino Grande, Batya is against going into the Yichud room. Now, we're not going to make a big stink. They do it in our community. There's a lot of other fires we have to put out before we worry about global warming and things like this. If they do it, they do it. But Batya does say that the going into the chuppah, into the Yichud room after chuppah, is not something we should do. However, they do it in our community. So ask your local rabbi. The couple likes to do it. They take pictures. If what they do. Just the only thing is sometimes you go to a wedding and they could stay in there for an hour and a half. By the time that they come out, half the people already left the wedding. So they should think about the other people as well. You don't want people retracting the gifts if you stay in there too long. If they stay in there too long, the couple's going to owe the guests money instead of guests giving a gift for the couple. So Batya is not into it, and he brings it from the Rambam not to go in. Those who follow Batya, which is something we should all do, they go in and they just leave the door open. And not, of course, that we know from these things, but there are certain things that are automatic and they're just coincidences, that if you leave the door open, it's possible that her mother is 100% going to walk in. So they don't have the problem of what Batya says, and the Rambam as well, that they should not do it. But like I said, we do it and we don't make a stink. So believe it or not, that's when the 7 days begin, once they go into a room secluded. So that means if the wedding was on a Sunday and the huppah was before sunset, but by the time they get into the room, it's after sunset. So that means Monday is really the first day of Sheva Berachot, and that's when we count. There's another thing that we have to keep in mind, and that is, according to Batya and Chacham Baruch, Alav Shalom, the law is each day of the Sheva Berachot, you go out for dinner and the speeches, etc. And then at the end, by Birkat Hamazon, they make 7 Berachot that they do under the chuppah. And believe it or not everyone is aware that Batya tells us that we do not make all 7 Berachot nowadays unless you fulfill all the criteria. What is one of the main things on the checklist for the criteria for making all 7 berachot? Because in the old days, when a Hatan and Kala got married, they used to build them a tent, and they used to have a bedroom in the tent, and they had 7 days of hafle. So since that was their house, that's where you make the 7 berachot every day. But if you're going to go to Renaissance, Jerusalem Grill, wherever they go, to steakhouse, and wherever they go to make a sheva berachot shirbu samahot, that is not considered the house of the chatan and kala, and therefore we do not make all 7 berachot on the 7 days of the sheva berachot. Even if the hatan or the father hatan goes to the manager of the restaurant and says, here's $50. Now I own the place. Now, since and it belongs to my son, and then I can make the 7 berachot. It does not work, tells us Chacham Batya. Also, if they go away for Shabbat to a hotel, Shabbos Chosin, and you want to, some people say, since they're paying for their rooms, it's like it's in their house, so they should do all 7 berachot. Comes along, Batya says, no, it has to be in the actual house. It's very improbable that Sheva berachot will be in the house of the Hatan. It does happen once in a blue moon. God bless people. They hear something from the Chacham and they follow the halacha. It's Baruch HaOmer ve'oseh. They do Gadol HaMa'oseh Yoter, right? Min HaLomed. Someone who does the actual action is really what it's all about. And there's another halacha that I was giving a class. Batya holds that you should not even sleep in a home, in a new home, one night without making Chanukat Habayit, believe it or not. Now, you don't have to make the whole ziyarah. You don't have to invite the whole dinya and make a big thing, because sometimes that takes months till they're ready for that. However, you get 10 guys, 9 of your friends, you just make a quick Chanukat Habayit, let the suitcases be all over the place, let the boxes be all over the place, let the paper shades be on the windows. It doesn't matter. Do the learning, make the item, and then when you're ready, you can make the ziyada, you can make the whole party. So that's what the halakha is. So a friend of mine, God bless, his son already owned the house when he got married, and he was going to sleep in the house the second night after marriage. First night, they go to a hotel so they could show the towels and the robes. Lehodod, lehalel, leshabeach, lefa'er. However, the second night, he was going to stay in his house. So he needed to make a Hanukkah Habayit. We got 10 guys there to make Hanukkah Habayit. Plus, we made all 7 berachot because it was done in his home. However, there's another criteria. Even if it's in the home of the Hatan himself, you have to have something called Panim Hadashot. Panim Hadashot means someone who came to the wedding that did not eat by the Seudah, or somebody that did not come at all. Because someone who did not come to the actual wedding or partake in the Seudah, they enhance the happiness when they come for a meal in honor of the Hatan and Kala. And that extended happiness causes us to make all 7 berachot if it's in the house of the Hatan and Kala. So that's something we should keep in mind as well, that we need the Panim Hadashot and BTW if it happens to be in the Hatan and Kala's house and it's Shabbat, let's say a Sabbath in their home, then you do not need Panim Hadashot. Only on weekdays do you need Panim Hadashot. Because that little tiny drop of happiness that we have to add in order to make Sheva Berachot, which during the week Panim Hadashot fills, over here on Shabbat, the Shabbat itself, the happiness of Shabbat finishes off that little void, and therefore we make all the Sheva Berachot. So now when we don't make all of the Sheva Berachot, what do we do? So like we said, unless it's in the Hatan and Kala's house, we make all 7 in the Hatan and Kala's house, but if it's outside, we only make 2 berachot. Which berachot do we make? We make Hagefen, and we make the last one, Asher bara sason misimcha. Now, you might go to a Sheva Berachot and you see that someone takes a glass of wine from the one making Birkat HaMazon, a glass of wine from the ones who held the other ones, and they start mixing like a laboratory, young Frankenstein style, in the thingies, pouring back and forth. What's that all about? So the answer is when you make all 7 berachot, you have 2 cups of wine. The one who made Birkat Mazal would have gefen, and he may has one. And then, like we said, for the other 6 berachot. And since they're 2 things, we want to give to taste to the Hatan and Kala from both cups. So they mix it together, and then they give from the mix to the Hatan and Kala. But when you only make the 2 berachot of Hagefen and Asher Bara, which is 99.99% of the time, then you only need 1 cup. You do not need 2 cups. And therefore, you don't have to do the mix and match. Now, sometimes people say, what do you mean? It's not our custom. This is a new thing, that 2 berachot. We do 7 berachot. Baba, in our community, growing up, there was no such thing as Sheva berachot at all. There was a reason why going away outfits are called going away outfits, because they went straight to Hawaii from the wedding. No passing go, no collecting $200. So there was no Sheva berachot at all. And if Hamaruch, one of the Chachamim who paved the roads to our community, and Batya tell us this, then of course we know saying a beracha in vain is a serious thing. So of course, like we said also, as mentioned before, no need for bringing the SWAT team and the chaverim and the shomrim, leodot, lehalel, leshabech, and the shmira for all the shmira guys out there, right? If someone does do it, we just, if we see we could tell them nicely there's something we don't do, then good. But if no, then it's as they siyag l'chokhmah shtika, we keep quiet and each to their own. So, but if you're doing it and you have an influence, then this is the way the halakha is supposed to be. We'll stop here for today. I hope everyone has the greatest day. Shirbu samachot b'Yisrael. Good things always. Have the greatest day. Take care. Be safe. Bye.